Well, hello again, and welcome back to my hardcore series. My name is Ryo, and this is episode 2 of the hardcore series I started, oh gosh, how many months ago now? In this episode, we dive into the mid-game section of the world, and really sorry for the lack of uploads, but I really hope you enjoyed this episode as much as you like the last. So, once the house was built, I mainly just decided to stick around the area and create some storage systems up in the attic along with my bedroom. At least that way I would have a spot to just put everything from long adventures. There ain't really no way you're going to be catching me sorting everything right now, so at least having the chest means I can come back later and do it. Usually I would tend to sort things, but to start out, until I beat the dragon, I don't really have a reason to sort stuff, especially because I'm going to be carrying a lot of stuff around. Anyway, I continued working on the farm from before, started harvesting crops for food, started gearing up to get ready to go to the Nether. Farming is something that I enjoy a lot in this game. It's relaxing, it's kind of like Stardew Valley in a way, and most people would say, oh, just go play Stardew Valley. I took a sneak peek in the Nether and got absolutely jump scared by this gas fireball. And when I saw my spawn, I was like, okay, this is an easy thing to work with. So I made my first diamond sword, I made some diamond armor, and I prepared to gear up and go into the Nether head on to start gathering the necessary resources to go to the end. Once in the Nether, I did what I normally do, place down a trail of torches to find my way back, or different blocks that aren't locally in the Nether, like cobblestone. I would stumble across multiple chasms that I realized, oh, I did not bring enough blocks for this, so getting netherrack was a great way to cross these chasms. Eventually, I would come across the Nether fortress that I was looking for, and oh my goodness, I've never been more scared of blazes in my life. I ended up chomping through 4 golden apples when I was fighting the blazes. And the way my brother described it, he basically described it as a mini boss battle for me. But you know, maybe I'm just bad at the game. Once I found the blaze spawner, I very much was hesitant to go straight in at first. But then, once I killed the first couple blazes that were there, I blocked it off and was able to just easily farm blaze rods just by standing there. Like I said, chomping through golden apples so that I don't burn to a crisp. Once I had gotten all the blaze rods that I need, I stayed a little longer to try my luck and get a little bit extra, and then started making my way back to the Nether portal. I traveled past a couple different structures and biomes that eventually would become useful to me. As of now, once I had what I needed, I was like, okay, I'll get ender pearls later. I didn't see a warp forest anywhere, so there was really no sense in me looking around for one. So, once I made it back through the Nether portal, I was very happy to know that I made it safe and sound home, and probably had the hardest part of getting to the end out of the way. Once I had gotten home and geared up a little bit, chopped down a bunch of trees, it was time to work on something cozy to get across this little river. The original idea was to do like a massive fantasy style bridge across, and I kid you not, it took me about 20 tries to actually get these two sides of the bridge even. I literally couldn't mirror it. It was horrible. But once I did, it turned out okay. The other idea that I had was originally to build a cover for this bridge. But when I did that, it was very low and it just wasn't the way I expected. So instead, I went with this basic guardrail on each side, which turned out just fine. It's wide enough for a horse to get through. I don't gotta worry about, bumping my head on anything. Once I had gotten done next to the house, I decided it was time to go fortify, quote unquote, this village a little bit. So what I tend to do with villages is I will fence them off and then make sure everywhere in there is lit, fill up any holes from caves so mobs can't get in, and then start trading with villagers so that I can breed them later and more iron golems will spawn to protect it. That way I can get good gear, good enchantments, or anything I need when I need it. After that, I decided to go mining and looked for as much loot as I could because I knew I was getting close to finally being able to go fight the dragon. So any golden apples, diamonds, anything of the sorts that would have helped me in the fight was very much welcome. As the world kept progressing, I kept getting more and more happy, like, oh, you're actually gonna do it finally, you're gonna beat the game, yay. When I was done mining, I came to the realization I was eventually gonna have to do the task of getting the ender pearls needed to turn into Eyes of Ender, and because of that, I needed to figure out how I was gonna get them. The obvious, easy way to do it was going to be to go back to the Nether and find a warped forest and farm as many endermen as I can. So, that was the original plan. I slept through the night, I ended up getting back up and gearing up to go back to the Nether. So that meant food, a couple tools, and some gold armor so that piglins wouldn't bug me. I got a new gold helmet and paired it with my diamond armor, and then it was finally time to go back to the Nether. Once I had everything I needed, I knew it was time to go to the Nether and try to get this done as quick as possible, which would turn out not to go to plan. But you know what? It's fine. At least we're getting there. Once back in the Nether, I knew that I was just going to look for a warp forest, farm some endermen, and then get out of there as soon as possible. I ended up walking back past the bastion that I'd found, and then I stumbled across this tiny little warp forest. It ended up not being suitable for what I needed, so I went back to the overworld and got to work on doing what I usually know how to do best, and that's trading with villagers. I knew that you could trade emeralds for ender pearls from a clerk villager, so I found a clerk and started working on leveling it up to see if it would eventually give me an ender pearl trade. It was a good thing I started farming as well, because I had some crops that I could trade away for emeralds, so that made life easier. Eventually the clerk was also buying glass bottles for emeralds, so that's what I did, and that eventually led to me being able to afford all the ender pearls that I need. I turned the ender pearls into Eyes of Ender, and from there, that meant that the second mile mark of the world was over, and that episode 2 had come to a conclusion. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next episode.